the summit.
Kristin Harila is without question one of the most accomplished and one of the most controversial mountaineers of her generation. In 2023, the Norwegian climber rewrote the record books by summiting all 14 8,000-meter peaks in just 92 days, alongside her close friend and climbing partner, Tenjen Lama Sherpa. It was one of the most remarkable achievements in the history of high-altitude mountaineering. Tragically, just 3 months later, Tenjen lost his life on Shishapangma. But Kristin Harila's record-breaking season was also overshadowed by one of the most debated moments in modern mountaineering history: the death of Pakistani porter Muhammad Hassan on K2's bottleneck. Images and video from that day sparked intense criticism around the world and raised difficult questions about responsibility, rescue, and ethics in the death zone. Kristin and her Sherpa team, as Kristin has said in an interview on this channel, that her team spent hours by the side of Hassan, attempting to comfort and assist him where no rescue was humanly possible. For many climbers, this controversy would have marked the end of their ambitions, but in Kristin's case, it became just another chapter. In 2026, she returned to the Himalaya and completed what many considered another extraordinary milestone, the Himalayan Triple Crown, summiting Nuptse, Lhotse, and Everest in just 11 days, including an ascent of Everest without supplemental oxygen, a feat accomplished by only a small number of climbers, and only 10 women have done it successfully. Now, as she prepares to release her new documentary, Savage Mountain, Kristin welcomed me into her home via Zoom for a candid conversation about the triumphs, the criticism, the losses, and what still drives her to keep going. This isn't a conversation about records. It's a conversation about resilience, controversy, and what it takes to keep moving forward when the world is watching for just one misstep. This is my interview with Kristin Harila, unplugged and wide open. We spoke after, it sounds like I think we focused mostly on K2, but it was after your 14 peaks in 92 days. And personally, I didn't know what your plans would be, but I thought, okay, well, she's pretty much done it all. And lo and behold, I see the plans come up before this season for you to do the Triple Crown. And I'm so impressed, so congratulations on that. And I'd love to hear the genesis of that. Like, what inspired you to do that? Was there it seems like it must have been maybe some unfinished business. Is that possible? Or is that just you're an athlete and you like doing cool things?
Yeah, as an athlete, I think it's nice to see what's possible, and I always feel curious to see how my body is reacting, and is it possible to perform that specific thing. And I tried Everest without oxygen last year and turned around, and I wanted to end this 8,000-meter chapter in a better way. So I wanted to come back, but you never know, if you are in shape and if everything goes well. And I had this bad cough from Everest last year. It's still there, but I managed to navigate that in Nepal, so that was good. And Nuptse, I think, was a long time dream. The first time I saw Nuptse close in 2021 from Camp 2, I just thought wow, how do we climb this mountain? It looks impossible. So I always wanted to climb Nuptse.
Yeah, no, it does look impossible, and that's it. Suddenly it's kind of on the map, on the radar. So in a good way, because I think it's nice to have people not always looking to the left, they're looking to the right. It looks like a razor blade. It's so steep. Mm. How did you feel after Nuptse? Because you decided to go with O's on on Lhotse. I think I have that right. Did Nuptse kind of knock you out a little bit, or were you?
Really not. I wasn't like super tired after. Only had one rest day in Camp 2 after Nuptse, and then continued up to Camp 3, had one night there, up to Camp 4, had one day there, and then started up on Lhotse, but it was too windy. So I wasn't like super tired. It was like okay, but it was too windy. It was like almost I was thinking, is it possible with oxygen? Because it was so windy. Yeah,
Yeah.
just happy we made it because we knew that like we were getting closer to the end of the season, and Nuptse we had 17th of May. It would have been like ideal to have it the 10th of May maybe. If it was like we had this problem in the Khumbu icefall with this ice rack hanging over the route and couldn't open it before later than like 1 week later than normal. So we were a little bit like late, but I also know like that I can do pretty many mountains in a short time.
Yeah, you had proven it. So you knew what your body and your mind was capable of. And it is fascinating because I think a lot of people on the outside who don't really quite understand altitude and conditions up high, because even though there was a delay, because of the weird success of the number of summits on Everest this year, they just kind of think it's not easy, but well, some people think it's easy. But Everest now it's this waiting game because you're there to go without O's. And what people definitely don't understand is it pushes the human body to the absolute edge. So I really want to know about the emotional, the physiological war that must have been kind of going on, or the placid peacefulness that you try to conjure. So what's it like to climb Everest without bottled oxygen? Now you know.
Well, yeah, I know, and I don't say this, so I don't say this loud, but I can say it. Like when we really discuss the details, I can say it because it sounds. If I just say it like to the media, it sounds like it was easy, and it wasn't easy at all. It's super challenging and super hard, and I was so focused as we climbed, and even like on the summit, I was so focused on like we have to get down in a safe and a good way, and I didn't like think that I made it on the summit. I was like so focused on the thing can happen on the way down. And it's still a long climb to get down. But I was surprised how, I cannot say easy because it's not easy, but I'm surprised how good my body was from 8,000 to 8,848. I was expecting to having more headache, more slowness. I had that on Nuptse. I had like hours where I was so slow. And on Everest, I didn't really, and I wasn't really cold. I'm sure that I felt the altitude a lot because I was throwing up on the summit, like close to the summit. I was throwing up several times, and also, of course, I was cold, but because now I feel like numb in 3 fingers. It's not like any frostbite or anything; they're all fine, but I feel like a little bit numb. So of course, it was cold, but I think just my expectation was that it was going to be more struggle with the lack of oxygen and the coldness.
What is kind of happening on the mountain, and we've seen it going on for 10, 15 years, is just as the commercialization expands and more people are given permits to the mountain, a lot of the lives that are lost are frequently, I'm not saying it's the only thing that happens, are typically people who don't have a great deal of experience at altitude. And what I've said many times is that there's no substitute for experience, and it can be on an 8,000 meter peak, or even climbing Denali or something like that. Because if you go into the face of all the odds and learn about the idea of turning around or getting your butt kicked. There's a lot to be said for that. So you've really paid your dues, but Kristin, you're side by side with literally dozens and dozens of people who have probably never been above 8,000 meters. And how's that feel to you? That's probably that's the hardest part of Everest, I would think, right now.
Yeah, it is, and it's good and bad sides with this thing and the commercialization on Everest. And um, like I was with Seven Summit Treks, the biggest company, and together with 14 Peaks, I'm guessing we had 130, 140 clients of the 490 permits. So it's a big, um, big group of climber in our team, and I was like pretty like happy with the people in our camp, because I saw that it was better this year actually. And we also had some sessions in base camp, like preparing them for the summit push, and just like to see what we can do to make people more ready for going up there. But it was really good, at least in our company, a really good season. And like in total, it was 5 people dying on the mountain this year. Of course, that's 5 too much. But if we see, like comparing to other years, it's better. Of course, we were a little bit unlucky with the ice fall opening late. So that's also why we saw these big queues, and we had a lot of frost bites in like the total people coming down from these days where it was like a lot of people going up. I think there was one day it was more than 200 people going to the summit on the same day. Of course, I would never have tried, not even with oxygen, I would have tried to go on the summit on days like that. Not even from 2 to 3 or 3 to 4, I would never have even tried to go. I wasn't stuck in the queue, like not even 1 second. But it's also like because I'm fast, so I can always pass people, and I try to go like earlier than others, so I can just go my pace. And so for me, it wasn't like a problem, but I would never have tried a summit push early and not with a lot of people. And without oxygen, I knew that I had to go like very late. But I think like also the experience that I have is that I wasn't stressed about that. I knew like from the 25th until the 1st, it will be summit days. It will be possible to go. And it's much warmer comparing to going like 10 days earlier. So yeah, so for me it was a good thing. And yeah, I'm kind of hopeful for Everest and the future for the mountain. So I think it's good, and something is going in the right direction also.
Well, I would like to hear about that, because you did earlier. You just said it's good and bad, the commercialization, but I would like to hear the good, because that's encouraging. Because everybody, the world looks at Mount Everest and says, "You're bad people, you're ruining the mountain," but they're forgetting the whole rest of the planet. Like, oh, don't worry about the Amazon rainforest or the oceans being overfished. It's you people on Mount Everest. And it's like, there's a lot more people in the world, and these things are happening. So I like the positive element of it. So from you, you're the ambassador of Mount Everest.
I love Mount Everest, and it feels like coming home to me to be there. And it's of course it's a very important place for a lot of families to make money, and that's like so important for them. And we see, like comparing like 30 years ago and 20 years ago, we see that the big Nepali company especially, they are better in handling the Sherpas, like if we think about training, equipment, salary, the condition for them are much better than it was. So that's one very good step. And the company has taken it super serious to do the training with the Sherpa. So that's very good. And of course, the money that they earn, and is so important for so many families. So that's very, very good. And also, like for me, it's also the community. with the Sherpas and also with the climbers there, and what we see that is like it's people are nice even if you are with another company, or we see that it's a very nice place also to be and to be with friends and new friends, and the community there is good, and also that it's better condition for the Sherpa than it was. So that's the good thing. I see these new rules that Nepal have for handling trash and the poo, and I think we still have a way to go to make those changes, but it's good steps also.
Kristin, so tell me, you were just talking about the Sherpa and the mountain workers a little bit. Tell me about who you were with on this Triple Crown and how that helped you or was your support in your climbing, because I know that you've always had a deep respect and paid tribute to the Sherpa high altitude mountain guides who have kind of been by your side these times. So on this trip, tell me, I'd love to know, and let's shine some light on people.
Yeah, we would never have made any summits without them. Even the climbers that go without Sherpa wouldn't have made it without the Sherpas and the companies and what they are doing, the staff also working in base camp and everything. We would never have made any summits without them. So they are super important and so skilled to go up there. So that's like my first recommendation to people wanted to go, is like to go with a good team and make sure that you know your Sherpa and that you have like a good team together. That's very, very important. I have Ming Temba that was with me. I was alone first. I was alone on Lubitche, and then I had a Sherpa coming in there. I was alone first on Lubitche, and for the summit push, another Sherpa came in and climbed with me. And on the rotation on Everest, I was alone. I slept in Camp 3 alone. Did all the carry up. So I had, on the first rotation, I had 23 kilo with me, and went all the way to Camp 3, slept there. Yeah, made my food myself, and was just alone, and it was okay. And I knew it wasn't any problem for me. And the reason why, because I say that I think we always should go together. There's a reason why we say climbing partner when we are climbing, because it's a teamwork, and I think it's better. But the Sherpa that I had, Ming Temba, he's like very, very good. So of course he was on another mountain first. He was on Annapurna first, and then he came in and he fixed the ropes on Everest. And then he came down, rested, in Camp 2 we met up, and then Asian Trekking had been fixing, together with some from Seventh Summit, they had been fixing the ropes up to like a higher place on Nuptse. So when we went for the summit push, Ming Temba fixed in front. The last part, it was pretty long, like it was 1/3 wasn't fixed on Nuptse. Oh. So he was in front fixing, and I came behind, and also like I was the only one from Seventh Summit, and we were together with Asian Trekking, and it was super nice, and they had like good climbers and good Sherpas and a good team. So it was very nice to go together, because it's only a few people on Nuptse. So that was nice. And then we went down, had a rest day in Camp 2, did Lutse, had a cameraman with us from Nepal, and then back to base camp, rested 2 days. And then we climbed up again to Everest. And I was also together with Ming Temba, and I know him from earlier. We climbed many mountains. He was one of Lama's best friends. So I feel like good with him. He knows like what I'm capable of, and I know like how strong he is. And so that was very, very nice. And super good to be with him. And I wouldn't have like try to go a summit push by myself, especially not without oxygen. I think it's safer, and it's also like when we go without Sherpa, it's putting a bigger risk on them, because if something happens, it's always the Sherpa that have to go out and rescue people. So I think it's better to be a team together. You shouldn't be like alone on the mountain.
Let's just say that you had a magic wand, and you were running the Department of Tourism, and you had an opportunity to just fix a little, like tweak the machine a little bit on Everest, like what would be a couple things that you might do? Because you talked a little bit about the difficulty of the garbage and the human waste situation and the better training of the Sherpa. But is there anything that you would do? Would you cap the number of permits? Are there too many people or things like that?
Well, I think it's the number of permits. I think it's manageable as it is now if we are not having any big delays like we had this year, because then it comes in too few days. But if we can spread it out, it's good. So I think we are on a maximum level of people as the logistics works now. So I don't think we should be like more than, I think it should be less than 500 climbers. And I think it's better also if it was a little bit less. But we understand also that it's money coming in there. So I think another thing that would be like easy to do and very good to do is to make sure that the climbers are prepared. So to say that they have to do 6,000, 7,000, and to actually make sure that that happens. And if I could dream, I would have said that they have to do some physical testing also to get like a certification to go. But this is me dreaming. It's probably never going to happen. But I think it would be nice if we could make sure that the climbers are prepared enough for what they are doing. And if you climb 5,000 meters and you climb 6,000 and you climb another 6,000 and you climb 7,000, you have a pretty good feeling of how your body will react, what you need to do, what you need to eat, how you need to have the clothes and shoes, and your shape is better, and that reduces the risk, especially for the Sherpa. So I think that would be good if we could do that. And for the Sherpas, I think like to make sure that the company are doing the training, giving them enough salary, giving them enough clothes and equipment that they need. I think that would be good if we could have some rules for that. So, and also of course for the trash and getting things down. So
excellent. I'm not sure if you have any thoughts on this, but I'm curious if you are familiar. Well, I know you know the story, but it was pretty shocking, the story about Hillary Dawa Sherpa. And I'm so happy that he lived. I literally thought I was going to start crying when I found out he crawled into base camp. And I get it. I get that it's not cheap to call a rescue, but what would you think about like some built-in structure that covers rescues like that doesn't put all the pressure on a small expedition company, so even if the permit fees go up, like $1,000 from every permit goes into this kind of this unified rescue fund. So it's like, this is an example where we've got to put a helicopter up or a team of Sherpa or mountain workers up the mountain right now, because you can never presume somebody isn't alive up there unless you see them fall off the mountain or you see them not alive. Yeah. So I don't know, because that Hillary Dawa Sherpa story must have really touched you deeply, because you're so involved in the community there.
Yeah, really. And I feel like I'm a part of.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a Sherpa when I'm there and when I'm with the Sherpas. And I asked our expedition leader in base camp. He said like something, talking to the members, and then I asked, okay, but where am I? Where do you place me? And he was like, no, but you're Sherpa. And I was like, yeah, I feel like I am also, because I've been so much with them, and I think it's like amazing, like the strength that they have and what they are doing and how much they do to make all these dreams come true. So I was so like impressed and happy to see that he came alive back down. It's just a miracle that he made it, and the strength he must have had to continue to climb when it was no one there on the mountain. Amazing. And just like a really really good story, and it tells us also to not give up, like to keep looking. And I even had that myself with Lama. I tried to get the permit to go into the avalanche right away, and I've been trying and trying ever since. And I kind of have, okay, I know he's gone, but I have this little hope that maybe he survived and went down to a village and he didn't remember where he came from or anything. But yeah, I think we should like keep looking, and I hope and I think that we're going to see big changes on Everest in the next 10 years. I think what we see now with the drones, hopefully we will have less carrying through the ice fall that can reduce the risk for the Sherpas. And yeah, if we could like make something for everyone, it would be great if we could. Like, and I find like what's happening between the companies and what we see, like the Sherpas between the companies, they are families and they are friends and they know each other across the companies. So we often see that when we climb that like we had in Camp Tree. I was in the tent and we heard a Sherpa outside and it was super windy and in the middle of the night. So they were carrying up for another company to Camp Tree and they were super tired and it was so windy and they didn't have any tent because this was very early in the season. They were the first one up there. And we said to them, come in. And we made them water and some cookies. And of course, like it didn't matter that they came from another company. We were like, come in and get some rest here with us before you go down. And they did, and we're happy for that. And then they continued down. So, and all these, like these Sherpa, they know each other and they are families and friends. So,
Hey, Kristin, so you have a film, I believe, that is coming out sometime in the autumn. And tell me about the film.
yeah, it's been a long project. It's 3 years now since we finished the 14 Peak project. So it's been a while. So I'm looking forward to finally like share what happened. And it's like a documentary of the 14 Peak. But of course, we know a lot of things happen and people make films about one 8,000 meter. And here I climbed 12 plus 14. So it's a long story to tell, and yeah, I'm really happy that we did film so much because it's a lot with Lama in there also.
Excellent. I'm excited for it. On that, on the K2 thing, still, it just still kind of rankles me because the horrible loss of the porter Muhammad Hassan, and I'm still fascinated that so much attention was focused on you. You learned in a really, really hard way just how people who don't know you, the judgment and the focus on you, it honestly boggles my mind. But now you can understand what it might be like to be Taylor Swift or some famous movie star, because everybody was looking at you like as if you're not God. You can't pluck somebody off a mountain. So that must have been a really emotional period of time that I'm sure is still in your heart right now. And it appears to me you're covering that in the film a little bit.
Yeah, we did film like a lot of what happened in the bottleneck when the accident happened. So, and we didn't want to share that earlier, but now it's coming and people can see like the accident and how we try to help. And yeah, but I think also, and it's of course super challenging for me that everything was blamed on me when I didn't even have anything to do with the accident except from that we tried to save him. But I think like when things happen, we want to blame someone. And I think I was an easy target, and people like there was like two people just spreading false information about me because they got attention around their documentary at that time. So I think it's reason to worry for all of us because we all get affected about the news that we see and when we are scrolling, and the media, they love controversial stories. So it was so easy to get fire on this false story. even the people that started to spread it, they knew it was a false story. They knew it wasn't what happened. But it's so easy because the media like loves controversial stories. And I think that's very important to remember when we see the media and like I didn't want to say so much about Hillary Dawa and that story. And I didn't especially I don't want to blame anyone because I wasn't there. And I don't really know. And the only people that can say is the people that were there. And I don't want to say anything. I'm just very happy that he survived. But that's the lesson learned from K2 and how easy it was. And the truth is like what really happened, it wasn't controversial. It was he shouldn't have been there and he was sent up and he was asked to turn around. But what really happened in the moment the accident happened, it wasn't controversial. It was something that would have happened like everywhere on the mountain. We see that when accident happens, people always help. Like it doesn't matter if you're from another company or if you're a porter or Sherpa or a climber or what you are, people always help. And I see that like when I go alone in the Khumbu icefall, and I need help. Like there's always someone to help and to hold my hand if I have to jump over a big crevasse or something. So it's nice that we have each other on the mountain, and that's not controversial. That's what happened. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to like share that story in a full way, and yeah, people will understand when they see the film what really happened.
I'm excited to see it. Kristin, so without one thing I did want to make sure before we finish talking is just talk a little bit about Lama, your partner in your endeavor to do that in 92 days. We've discussed this before. It's been a couple of years, but he's still a big part of your heart, and I know that it probably feels like unfinished business for you as well. Can you just tell me a little bit about Lama and that friendship, partnership of yours, and if you're gonna hopefully maybe go back and find him someday?
Yeah, I'm still hoping to go there, and I'm still like a lot involved in his family, and they are doing good. The boys are study on school, and the mother, the wife of Lama, is okay, and they are kind of peaceful with him being on the mountain. And I think they are more worried about me going back to the area and search for him than getting his body back. They find some peace with him being like on a place where he loves to be. And I'm good. Like I'm thankful for that. I still have this like inside me to find him. But yeah, the main thing is to stay safe and make sure that his family is okay. And I'm very, very glad that we filmed so much because we can see like who he really was. And I wanted to share the record with a Sherpa because I think they deserve to be a part of the record. But like after we climbed like at least Shishapangma and Choyu and a couple of mountains, like I really felt that he deserved to be a part of the record, not because he was like a Sherpa or belongs to the Nepali company. It was because he was who he was, and I wanted to share it with him, and very glad that we managed to do that. It's so hard to like be in shape and to not get injured, and you have to work so close together over so long time and so many mountains. So yeah, so I'm yeah, it's really nice to see him, but it's also like really like I feel so sad when I see the film that he's not here. But it's super nice, and I want to see it all the time because it's you can see he's happy, and you can see like the story that we shared. But some of the clips are like really sad also. Yeah.
So, Kristin, you've done things that nobody ever has done, and it's super impressive. And I wonder if you think about your legacy. You're very young still, and there's a lot of time left. You're still healthy, and probably, are you dreaming of any other thing yet, or are you just taking letting time pass by? But is there any other, might be a secret? What's next for you and for your legacy?
Yeah, for me, like personally, I don't feel like I need to climb another 8,000 meter to prove something or like feel anything. I climbed so much, like 31 time on the summit of an 8,000 meter now. So it's a lot, and I don't feel like I have anything like I need to show or prove, or like I need to do this or this or this. I don't need to, but I I want to like make the mountain safer, and I want to like continue to try to make a good impact on the mountains and the community. And I think to do that, we need to be a part of it. And like that's actually the reason why I started this 14 Peak project, was that I wanted to. It wasn't like I wanted to like I want to have the record myself. I wanted to like make the changes to make it more equal and to show that women also can do this, and hopefully make it easier for younger women coming after me. And also, like now, I want to make some changes for the good, and especially for the Sherpa working in the mountain. Yeah, to make it a better, like, and safer place for the future. Because I think we are going to climb, and I also love to climb, and I love to be in the mountains. So yeah, I would just want us to be safe and to do it in a good way, and yeah, make it a good place for the nature, and like keep it clean and keep it in a good shape.
Like I've asked you a bunch of questions, and I feel like I've asked you everything I wanted to ask. Is there anything just maybe that just is unsaid, or like maybe a message for young girls or women even? Because, you know, I think that had something to do with the focus on you after the K2 thing. Oh, it's easy to pick on a woman, right? I think a man might not have had that. I just feel it's unfair there. Maybe that might be a neat place to kind of jump off.
Yeah, I think we should be careful criticizing things that happen, because we don't really know, and it's like how easy things spread out in the wrong way. And yeah, so that's one thing. And of course, I want people to continue to go to the mountain, but to be prepared enough. It's super important for yourself, but also for the people working there. So be prepared. It's so much we can do to have a better experience and do it safe when we come to the big mountains. So go the steps. Don't rush too much. The mountain will be there. So
my thanks go out to Kristin Harila for taking the time to talk to me. It's an absolute pleasure to have her here on the channel again. Any links pertinent to her new film and her book will be in the description below. I'd really like to hear your thoughts on this interview and about Kristin and about her many accomplishments, and if we have any more to expect from her in the future. And in the meantime, if you're still watching and have not subscribed to Everest Mystery, please just take a moment to do so now. And also be sure to take a moment to check out our exclusive section where members can enjoy hours upon hours of content that you cannot get anywhere else. That's also at patreon.com/Everest Mystery, where I have a free member section there with lots of exclusive content. And in the meantime, do a good deed. Don't ask for anything in return. Make the world a better place, one tiny step at a time. Peace be with you.